Employee retention is a super hot topic these days in business because we've gone through this great resignation. 70% of people say they're satisfied at work, but in other surveys, people say that if they had another opportunity, they would jump ship right away. Loyalty to companies seems to be at an all-time low. And this whole concept of quiet quitting has started to creep in. And there are a lot of people who are showing up at work and just doing the bare minimum. For those who are working remotely, I've heard stories of people who are actually working for not one, but two corporations and actually pulling full-time salaries, just squeaking by, waiting for one of them to discover that they're not really doing the work or not really doing all the work that's expected of them. And yet they're pulling two salaries and they're just phoning it in. And companies don't know. Companies are unaware. And productivity isn't where it really should be in many organizations. Now, of course, this isn't true for everybody. There's a lot of companies that have a remote workforce and everybody is fully engaged and they've really created a culture and a community. But for some, this whole thing that's going on in society is a problem. And I think one of the ways to combat quiet quitting and one of the ways to boost your retention of your employees is to help them develop relationships with each other. You see, when people are connected, when they feel like they belong, they're less likely to leave. Gallup has done surveys for years that show that when people have best friends at work, and by this I mean really good human connections, real friendships, where on the weekend they go to concerts together, they do barbecues together. When the people who work in the same office or for the same company really like each other, the studies show that they work harder, they stay at the company longer, and they're more satisfied. As I look back at my own career, in places that I worked where I really liked the people and they liked me, and we developed really uncommon connections where we really were part of that same team and we loved being there, I didn't want to leave. And in those situations, I would work harder, stay longer, do all those things that I said. So if you're concerned about employee retention, let's take a look at your culture. Is there trust? Is there accountability? And do your people have really good relationships with each other? Because if you've got someone who you're just direct depositing a paycheck to and expecting them to do some work, but they're just squeaking by with the bare minimum, what do you think they're going to do when another opportunity comes along? They are going to jump ship. And yet, if they feel that they're part of a family, if they're part of something bigger, if they're part of a cause, that's when they're going to stay longer. So we need to start thinking that networking is not just something that salespeople do, or people who are trying to do business development, or people who are looking for a job. Networking isn't just about external relationships. We need to get a focus in on internal relationships and how can we make sure that the people who work for us feel that they're connected. And this starts with the onboarding. You know, if somebody has a bad onboarding experience in the first week, 2 weeks, or month, their commitment to the company goes down. I know this firsthand. I had a really bad onboarding situation once, and it never really got away from me how much I didn't feel connected to the job or the people or the mission of the organization. So think about this. Start on day one when people come, or day one when you hire them. Get everyone involved to make sure that that onboarding process is awesome, and help people build friendships and relationships. And look around. Make sure that people are doing well and that people don't feel left out. So let's flip this whole concept of networking and really put it inside the company. Let's talk to our employees about how do we build relationships. But you can't force community on anybody. In fact, when you try to force community, it just flops. So what you need to do is you need to have shared experiences, because that's how people build relationships. Look at your own life. Who are the best friends that you have? Who are the people who you absolutely love and care about and would do anything to help them succeed? Those people in your life that you feel that way about are people who you've shared experiences with. So let's start going back to shared experiences in the office. Even if people work remote, bring people together several times a year and make sure that they're having fun, that they feel included. You know, there's a lot of talk in our society around making sure that we have diversity, equity, and inclusion. And there's a new word that I heard recently, and that is belonging. And so, yes, we want to have diversity. We want to have equity. We want people to feel included, but we also want that sense of belonging where people feel they're part of something bigger than they are. If you want to flip the whole idea of employee retention, flip the whole idea of how connected are you and your senior team to each other, to the people all the way down the organizational ladder. I believe this is the secret sauce to the future of thriving companies.